we want to see her. So they said, well, she's only coming on Saturday. So we'll be there, we'll wait for her. So people have very quickly taken to come and see me. Maybe because I'm available. Probably in the beginning because I was a new person and they wanted to see who that new person was. But also because I do take the time to sit down and listen to what they have to say. And what are their concerns, what are their complaints. They're very vocal. What are their hopes. It's very illuminating for me because every day I learn something new and I understand a little more what all these people are going through. And although I am really very hopeful that we are going to develop our country, I still think that maybe 90% of the population needs help. It's, we don't really have a very large, comfortable upper class. It's probably no more than 10%. So there is a lot to be done. And taking advantage of the fact that I came here to address a conference that was at the Jamia Islamia yesterday, I thought, well, India has a lot of women that are entrepreneurs and that are really experiencing what they're doing. Maybe I can learn something, maybe I can get back some ideas. And already in the few minutes that we were in the office there, we already concocted some ideas of how to exchange things. We talked about training women, for example, but we did mention that Afghan women might not all be able to come to India. You know, it's a question of sometimes a financial problem, or it might just be that you know, they will not be allowed to leave the country from their family. They might have some restrictions, things of the sort. We have to work with what we have. So maybe we thought, maybe we can have somebody from here go and do some trainings, maybe for 1 week at a time, so they at least they start thinking in terms of producing something in the market. Because I think I come from the principle that a woman does not become respected unless she is a productive member of society. And that productive member of the society means that she has to produce something. Because unfortunately, no matter how much you can toil at home, nobody's going to recognize that this is a product. But like, for example, if she learns to do, you know, some handwork at home, embroidery or others, or if ever she learns a skill and she can use it outside the home, then she can earn the respect of her fellow family members. I am here to try and explore possibilities of developing women's economic power. I'm here to hear from you what in a first step, because we are still lagging behind India. So you probably have gone through these steps before. What would you advise us to do? Where to start from? I know education is a very strong factor. I am toying with the idea of trying to allot scholarship just for educators. And I use educators as a word, not trainers, not teachers. Teachers, you know, we have them a dime a dozen. We need people who can educate the children. We have lost values after the war. Every society loses its value. We need to rebuild that. So there is education, but there is also training skills. Apparently, you now even have a new Ministry of Skills Development. This is an area where we really need a lot of we have exactly the same kind of problems of not finding a good electrician, a good plumber, a good thing. And so this is what I'm thinking in terms of maybe a vocational school that starts at middle school and maybe carries on through 12th grade, but vocational, so they become, but once they get to be 18, 19, they have a job, they have a skill, they can earn money, they can get married, they can get their own little apartment, a little house or whatever. Otherwise, they're stuck, they're jobless, they don't know what to do, they stay with their parents, they get frustrated, and nothing happens, and it becomes a burden on society. We really need to address the problem of the young people. It's half of them are women, and we need also but I think we need also to help the young men. But so there's that. I know that we already have a very good, very vibrant scholarship exchange with India. Apparently there are almost between 200 or 300,000 students from Afghanistan that are studying in the universities of India. Some of them on scholarship from Afghanistan, some of them are on scholarship from the government of India, and a third category, they're just coming here they're paying their own way. So there is already that at that level, but I think we need to think in terms of the younger generation and the development skills. But I keep an open mind. So I think maybe we can open the session to some question and answers. Yeah. And please, you have suggestions, you have proposals, you have comments. Maybe I'm saying something that's totally wrong and you should tell me. I'm open. I really think we have such a commonality in culture and in situations that I think you can really be of very good advice, and that's what I'm seeking today. Thank you.
Just a quick announcement, please, because we are rolling this for headlines today. If the still photographers will not barge into the frames, just a request. Keep seated. Thank you so much. My camera? And when we take in audience questions, please raise your hands and make sure to speak on the mic clearly. Hello and namaste to all our viewers there of Headlines Today. I'm Smita Sharma and this is a very special broadcast in a country with a very rich, in fact, cultural heritage and history, but which has seen conflict over the decades, where death, destruction, terror attacks are a harsh reality, where being a woman, in fact, is not easy. She is breaking stereotypes, she's making headlines, and she's all for women empowerment. She's the first lady who, unlike her predecessors, is in public life and is working towards the cause of women empowerment, and especially the rehabilitation of the internally displaced people. She is with us today exclusively on Headlines Today. Joining me here is the First Lady of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan, Ms. Rula Ghani. It's such a pleasure to have you here. Also on this special broadcast, the Ambassador of Afghanistan to India, Mr. Shaida Abdali, and the FICCI Ladies Organization President, Ms. Archana Gupta. In fact, all the flow members, the wonderful delegates are here with us on Headlines Today. They will, of course, have a lot more to ask to the First Lady. Excellency, if I may just begin with, is this really your first visit to India, or have you had previous visits as well?
I've been in Delhi twice, but for short vacations.
And this was
a couple of weeks.
So before I ask you how your country has changed, maybe I should get a glimpse of how do you think India and Delhi has changed since your last visit?
Well, I think Delhi is a beautiful city. I'm really glad that you use the liquefied gas, so pollution has almost disappeared. I think it's great.
Maybe I have mixed feelings about that.
I've been going around in air-conditioned cars, so probably this is the case. It feels very good inside the car. I can tell that it's a vibrant city, but this is only my second day here today. So
It's all a visit to my school as well.
Yes, this morning I did my little cultural pilgrimage to the Hawaiian tomb. It's a beautiful place, and I'm very interested in the irrigation system that you have there. I mean, the water flowing system there. It has a whole history, and fortunately the guide I had was very knowledgeable. He said I was the first person who wanted to visit the garden, really. And well, we did visit the tomb, but it's an unbelievable work of engineering, all these canals and how the water flows. And there's a whole history because various regimes, apparently when the British came, they removed certain things and covered others. Anyway, it was a very interesting visit, yes.
Now coming back, of course, to the role that you're playing today, Ms. Kani, what does being a First Lady mean for you? What does it mean to you?
Well, it's first of all a privilege and an honor, something I was not expecting, but it's a responsibility too. I feel if ever I have to be the symbol of the country, I have to understand the country. And this is why my first action was to open a small office where people can come and see me, so that I can understand what are their concerns and what are their demands. So
I'm very tempted to ask though, why were you not expecting? When President Ghani, of course, took that political plunge, I'm sure you would have thought that one day your husband would go on to become the President of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan.
We lived a very comfortable life. He was a scholar, he did lots of research, it gave me time to take care of my garden. And I was very comfortable where I was, but if his destiny was to become the president, I was going to support him. So maybe I was in denial, but once it happened, it happened.
When he did become the president, one of the first things that he came out and said to the people was he thanked you, the families, for the support and the encouragement. Did it surprise you, or is it always been about his encouragement to you?
I knew that he would make some mention, but I was surprised by the fact that he really went to lengths to explain that the role that I played in his life and in our life in Afghanistan. And I think he, instead of just saying, he was showing respect to me.
Wonderful. We can maybe perhaps open up the floor for some questions. Are there? Yes, please go ahead.
Good evening. The changing role of the First Lady in today's diplomacy. I'd really like to know how it is and what is your views on it.
As I said, these are uncharted waters. And so I try to see what would be feasible in terms of feasibility. Is it possible to meet with women entrepreneurs? Yes, it is. You have chambers, and here I am. It's also, I try to think what can really help it with how I want the country to develop, how I want my fellow countrymen to have new opportunities and all that. So it's basically, I'm very clear about what I'm trying to do. I want to facilitate things in Afghanistan, and I think through and I propose, and if ever